You know, what if an ancient ritual wasn't just a tradition, but a kind of precise spiritual technology? Well, today, we're going to unpack the Gayatri Upasana, an ancient Hindu practice, to see if we can uncover the science that's hidden right there in its sacred steps.
And that brings us to a really fascinating question, right? Are these elaborate practices just old customs passed down through generations? Or is there a methodical process, a kind of science really, that's designed to fundamentally transform the person performing them? Let's find out.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to walk through this in 6 parts. We'll start with the framework of the ritual itself, then get into the purification of your body and mind. After that, we'll decode the hidden meanings in the actions, see how divine powers are invoked, and then we'll dive really deep into the main event, the Gayatri practice. And finally, wrap up with the rules of the road that make it all work.
So, first up, let's talk about the ritual itself, or what's known as karma kanda. The sources make it really clear that structured ceremonies like a yajna, well, they aren't about blind faith, not at all. Think of them more like a powerful framework for spiritual work, a carefully designed process to help you channel your mental and spiritual energy toward a very specific goal.
Okay, but before you can even think about channeling that energy, the vessel, and that's you, the practitioner, has to be prepared. And this brings us to the absolute foundational first step, the purification of your body and your mind.
The whole process kicks off with something called Achman. Now, it might just look like you're sipping a little water, but it's really a symbolic internal bath. Every single sip is a conscious resolution, a promise to yourself to purify your speech, your mind, and your inner self. It's about clearing the slate for the sacred work you're about to do.
And from there, we move to pranayama. Now, this involves breathing, obviously, but believe me, it is so much more than a simple exercise. This is a core technique for regulating what's called prana, that universal life force, to literally strengthen your entire being, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
A complete cycle of pranayama has this really beautiful 4-part rhythm. It starts with puraka. That's a slow, deliberate inhale. Then comes a pause, antakumbhaka, where you hold the breath and that energy inside. That's followed by rechaka, a really controlled exhale, and then one final pause, bhaya kumbhaka, holding the breath out just before the whole cycle starts over again.
And this is the absolute key. The physical act of breathing is only half the equation. The real power, the magic, it comes from the internal feeling, the bhavana. So when you inhale, you're not just taking in air, you're actively imagining yourself pulling in divine energy. When you hold your breath, you visualize that energy soaking into every single cell. And as you exhale, you're pushing out all the negativity. It's this incredible marriage of physical action and focused intention.
You know, that whole idea of intention is the perfect gateway to our next section, the meanings that are hidden in the ritual's actions. In this tradition, nothing is random. Every single object, every gesture is packed with symbolism designed to constantly elevate your awareness. Just look at these examples. The shikha, or the top knot of hair, it acts as a cultural flag. The sandalwood paste, the chandan, is a physical reminder to keep your mind cool and calm. Even something as simple as a thread, the Rakshasutra, becomes this powerful symbol of your commitment. And the water pot, the kalash, well, that's seen as a mini representation of the entire cosmos. And right before the main event, you have the sankalpa. This is a formal, spoken declaration of your intention. See, the sources say that noble acts should be declared out loud. By stating your purpose, you're not only strengthening your own willpower, but you're also formally inviting divine energies to support you in your goal. So once the practitioner is purified and their intention is locked in, the focus shifts. It moves from internal preparation to the active process of invoking divine powers, of connecting with what the tradition calls the Dev Shaktis. This powerful Sanskrit quote really just gets right to the heart of it. It says, divinity exists in intention, therefore intention is the cause. I mean, that really nails it, doesn't it? It underscores this central theme that the connection isn't mechanical. It's not a formula. It's forged through sincere feeling, through real faith, and a genuine heartfelt intention. That's the key that unlocks the door. So all of this preparation, the purification, the intention setting, the invocation, it's all been leading up to this, the absolute core of the ritual, the Gayatri practice. And this isn't just about chanting a mantra. It's presented as a complete system for achieving a higher form of wisdom.
So what exactly is Gayatri Upasana?
Well, the source defines it as the process of attracting and embodying prajna, a very special kind of divine wisdom. And this isn't just knowledge you get from books. Prajna is described as this powerful combination of foresight, the sharp ability to tell right from wrong, and maybe most importantly, the inner strength to actually walk the right path once you see it.
And look, while the practice might bring some worldly benefits, the texts are super clear about its primary purpose. The real goal, the ultimate prize, is to purify your intellect, to inspire your mind to move toward truth, and to foster what it calls true humanity. We're talking about a fundamental evolution of your consciousness and your character.
But just like any powerful technology, this spiritual practice has an instruction manual. So our final section covers the essential rules for the practitioner, the kind of discipline that's required to make sure the practice is actually effective.
And really, the discipline boils down to these 4 key pillars. First, you've got concentration, just keeping your mind on the task at hand. Second is faith, having a deep, unshakable trust in the process. Third is persistence. That's the grit to push through even when you get discouraged. And finally, continuity, the commitment to show up and practice regularly without fail.
And then the source material does something really fascinating. It pivots and frames all of this in a modern context with this incredibly striking statement. The great demon of our era is the crisis of faith. It's suggesting that the biggest challenge we face today isn't something external, but a deep internal crisis of belief and conviction.
Which leaves us with one final and I think pretty provocative question for our time. In this age of nonstop distraction and widespread disbelief, could the solutions we're so desperately searching for actually be hidden within these ancient, methodical practices of looking inward? It's a question that really bridges thousands of years of tradition with the very real challenges we all face today.